Demographic changes in the world. Over the last 100 years. Over the past 100 years, the demographic structures of countries around the world have undergone significant changes. Population growth, urbanization, aging, migration movements, and changes in fertility rates have been the primary dynamics of demographic transformation. Here are some key demographic changes. Global population growth. In 1920, the world population was approximately 2 billion, whereas today, it has exceeded 8 billion. The fastest population growth occurred in the second half of the 20th century. Especially after World War II, the baby boom period took place. In the 21st century, the rate of population growth has begun to slow down. Urbanization and city growth. In 1920, 30% of the world's population lived in cities, whereas today, this rate is around 56%. Europe and North America were early urbanizing regions, but in the last 50 years, Asia and Africa have experienced major urbanization waves. The number of megacities, cities with over 10 million inhabitants, has increased. In 1950, only New York and Tokyo held this status, but today there are more than 30 megacities. Migration and population movements. After World War II, large waves of migration occurred from Europe to America and Australia. In the 21st century, due to wars, economic crises, and climate change, migration from the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America to Europe and North America has accelerated. In China and India, mass migrations from rural areas to cities have taken place. Changes in birth and death rates. In the 1920s, birth rates were high, but infant mortality rates were also high worldwide. In developed countries, medical advancements, hygiene, and vaccinations led to a decline in infant mortality and an increase in life expectancy. In developing countries, death rates declined, leading to rapid population growth, but birth rates eventually started to decrease. Regional changes. Europe and North America. Birth rates are very low. Death rates are controlled, but aging populations are increasing death numbers. Asia. Countries like China and South Korea have experienced a sharp decline in fertility rates. India still has a relatively high birth rate. Africa. Fertility rates are still high, but infant mortality rates have decreased, leading to rapid population growth. Women's participation in the workforce and its effects. In the early 20th century, women's participation in the workforce was low. However, after World War II, especially in the Western world, more women joined the labor force. Increased female participation in the workforce contributed to a decline in fertility rates. Today, in many developed countries, women are actively involved in education and work, leading to delayed marriage and fewer children. Climate change and demographic effects. Global warming and environmental changes have increased migration movements. Droughts and agricultural losses in Africa and South Asia have led to the emergence of climate refugees. In countries like Bangladesh and the Maldives, rising sea levels may make some areas uninhabitable. By 2050, it is estimated that up to 200 million people may be forced to migrate due to climate change. Migration crises and cultural changes. After World War II, countries such as Germany, France, and the UK accepted immigrant workers to fill labor shortages. Since the 1990s, refugee movements from the Middle East and Africa to Europe have increased significantly. The United States constantly experiences demographic shifts due to migration from Mexico and Central America. While migrants contribute economically, they also spark social and political debates in many countries. Global population projections, 2050 and 2100. By 2050, the world population is expected to reach 9.7 billion. By 2100, Africa's population is projected to exceed 4 billion, while Europe's population is expected to decline. China's population is expected to decrease, while India and Nigeria will be among the most populous nations. The aging population will pose major challenges for pension systems, healthcare costs, and workforce balance. Conclusion. Over the past 100 years, the world population has grown rapidly, but now growth is slowing down. Urbanization, aging, and migration are reshaping the social and economic structures of countries. In the future, Africa's rise, Europe's aging population, and Asia's demographic balance will be among the most significant demographic transformations.